Hi, I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and I'm back with more no BS hiring advice to help you do a better job of recruiting staff, making a selection of people, stuff along those lines. And the reason I'm doing this video stems from a session I did this morning with someone who owns a business, made a hiring mistake, and reminded me that there are some things many managers, many business owners do that causes them to make poor judgments, make poor decisions that prove so costly. So I thought I would cover a couple of different alternatives that can be painful in an effort to try and help you head them off. And the first thing starts off with, have you formulated a list of criteria that you're going to use, a number of requirements that someone must have for being qualified for the role, and then from there, have you figured out how you're going to evaluate for them? You know, for many people, they have this list of skills that's fairly ambiguous. The questions they ask vary from interview to interview. Bias creeps in, they wind up making mistakes and wonder what went wrong. Standardized interview questions that you probe for to get clarity works far better than doing an ad hoc interview where you spontaneously decide what to ask. That makes no sense. It's where mistakes occur because often what happens is that people forget to cover certain things and wind up hiring someone who has skill deficiencies. So always take the time to select the criteria, the requirements necessary for the role, and how specifically you're going to evaluate it. Also, when you interview, you miss the signals that are being sent. So for example, for this person who operates a business that's really very fast-paced, he chose to ignore the signal that this person wanted something, shall we say, a little bit more contained, not quite as busy as he was stepping into. The result was, it was a failure. He chose to ignore what was said to him because the person was the husband of an employee and yada, 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 and it was a big failure. In going into the interview, you forget to prepare, or you fail to prepare. You forget to cover, the points to test whether or not they actually have the requirements for the job. You don't really evaluate people adequately to know what their real skills are and where their deficiencies are. I'm not suggesting to ignore deficiencies, but you need to know what they are to see if they're insurmountable problems. Another thing that people do is they keep posting ads in the same place, and the result is the same merchandise. The same people keep seeing the ads over and over again, and the result winds up being, well, you're dealing with a pretty thin labor pool. Always post outside of the normal sites that you use. Always broaden it, drop off the ones that are failing you. But ultimately, you want to be going to different places than you always do. Another thing people do is they don't phone interview or video interview and thus waste an inordinate amount of time at the first interview that could have been done by phone, but because they feel compelled to talk to everyone because they're there, they keep them around much too long. When a decision's been made in 10 minutes, that person hangs in for 40 because the person's too embarrassed to bring it to a conclusion. Always be prepared for your interviews. They have too many people involved in the process as well, evaluating and assessing talent. And often those people are unprepared because you haven't told them that they're going to be interviewing. So the result winds up being they do too much talking, they don't do enough listening, which brings me to the next thing, which is talking rather than listening. So often, hiring managers start over talking about the opportunity. The result winds up being the more they talk, the more they like you, but you're not, as a hiring manager, learning anything about the person if you're talking. Always put yourself in the position where you're the decision maker, and instead of just simply flapping your gums. What you're doing is evaluating people. Last point, and this one I can't stress enough, they don't check references. So many hiring managers skip over that, with the result being that people are hired who are other people's thieves, scoundrels, and worse. So I'll just simply say, always check a reference before you consider hiring someone. Hope you found this helpful. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. If you're interested in my coaching you with either a job search, with staffing, with being more effective in your role, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you saw the video, because I just like knowing that I'm helping some folks. And once we're connected, message that you're interested in coaching. I'd love to help. Hope you have a great day. Take care.